See, I was going to keep the intro really professional then, right? Honestly, I was. And then Nick slurped his coffee and really pissed me off. Did that not piss you off? People like, come on, Nick. Anyway.
Your connections.
Right. What is it? No, what's going on?
Yeah, your connections. Gosh.
Well, you better do your own intro then. Crack on.
Have a day off. See you later.
Question 1. If you was a PT with a £500 spare every month, what would you do with it, or where would you invest it into? It's a great question, that is. Sky, coffee beans.
Yeah, coffee beans. What would I invest that into? Good question. This is something I'm thinking about now. I'm like, what do you do with that extra money apart from, pension, tax? What about the rest? So I don't know, invest it into something high interest. Something that in 10 years is going to give you a lot of money back.
And
better Wi-Fi.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
100%. A couple of boosters.
I've got the boosters, but they're on red. That's the problem. I haven't fixed it over the weekend. Fix the connection. What would I invest it in? Well, first of all, I'd check to see that you're investing into a pension and a stocks and shares ISA. And if you've still got some form of, if you've got that revenue after that, I'd invest, probably, if you've got the time right now, I'd invest it into some form of education. Invest it back into yourself and into your education or your business. Personally, that's the next step. Or build up and build some capital in your business. You don't have to spend a motherfucker.
That's fair. I'd just go on a holiday, to be honest.
Would you?
That'd be it.
Why would you go?
We've already talked about this. I'd go on nice little trips every weekend. Well, once a month maybe, 500 quid. Nice little weekend trip, Europe somewhere. That's what I'd do.
Next question.
Any recommended resources to learn more about structuring functional conditioning workouts you see more of these days in terms of exercise selection within AMRAPS, EMOMs, etc., the selected rep ranges, times, or are these things just made up? Chuck them together and see what happens.
The latter, most coaches do, yeah. Is chuck shit together. You know where I'd start with this is I would start with learning and refreshing yourself on energy systems. That's the first thing I would do, because ultimately those rep ranges, time domains, intensity levels, whether you're using external load or monostructural stuff, it's all based around different energy levels you're going to be going through. So that's the first thing I would say. A couple of good places to maybe have a look at that is a company called OPEX. Is it OPEX?
Yeah.
Grace Fitzgerald stuff. That's pretty good. I'm only reminded about this. I was talking about this with Sam on Friday. It's faster. So faster, very, very good. Faster Global, I think.
They're not still around.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Because we were talking about educational stuff, and Sam found them, and my mate works for them. Like he does like the courses and stuff for them. And I was like, he's still actually doing. They're still going. They're just terrible at marketing.
For the tube.
Yeah. Still got the Vipers on the list. I was like, that's got to be out of date. That has Vipers on. And I think also get onto, I don't know why I'm obsessed with this at the moment, but PubMed, and do some research on it as well. Do some research on AMRAPS and EMONs and functional training, and get some research done. But is it meant to be a whole load of things thrown together? No. Is it common practice? Yes. So there's a deeper methodology behind it. So those are the places I'd go to upskill yourself. Anything to add?
Could just do your CrossFit level 1 or your HYROX level 1 or something like that.
Was that sarcasm?
No, genuinely, if you can't be asked to go and look for it yourself, it's put into a course for you. You don't have to go and work in a HYROX gym or a CrossFit gym. But I was actually surprised because Rick did his HYROX course. It's really in depth. Some of it's almost like too much. It's like it's not necessary. The nutrition stuff is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But the training stuff is actually quite good. And obviously CrossFit.
Nuts, literally, because it's paleo and that. Yeah.
What? Say that again?
Oh, it doesn't matter. My connection's pissing me off, so it doesn't matter.
God, it's not going to work if you don't repeat yourself, Anthony.
The joke's gone.
Next question.
It was a good dad joke, though. Anyway, go on. Who's asking it?
From commercial gym PT to gym. From commercial gym PT to gym owner, what does it take?
It takes you having a hell of a lot of confidence behind the product that you're offering, because that's what's going to drive everything. So being crystal clear on your offer now, the phases of that, the outcomes it gets for people, and the types of people that you would want in that. You have to be clear on that. You've got to have some type of product to walk into that you really can stick a flag in the sand with and go, this is shit hot, and I back it, because that's what's going to drive the whole gym moving forward. I think the other thing is you would benefit from a captive audience, or a decent sized captive audience of leads. So making sure that you've got a hell of a lot of leads from the commercial gym on your email list that you can make aware of you gradually moving into that gym. I would say that a community within your client base right now would be a huge benefit, because essentially if you're A, getting the results, B, offering them an unbelievable product, and C, you've built a community that people want to talk to their friends about, their family about, and all of that, that makes it a hell of a lot easier too, because essentially you've got a set of raving fans that can come over with you and also tell the world about you. So I would say that you would prioritize them three things. The only other thing I would say is the boring stuff, like in really good habits of tracking, reporting, and ownership of like planning as well. Because as soon as you get over there, if you're going to be a one-person band, you're going to have to do it all. So the habits and behaviours that it takes to run a business efficiently and effectively now, which is planning, reporting, tracking, all of the boring stuff, I would say that you've got to have that in hand. Because otherwise it can quickly, when you've got lots of moving parts, run away with itself, and it can become quite messy quite quick. I was really good at that when I first went and done it. Anything with that? Plus, Sky, tell you what, being very brief today, aren't we? 1 second, please. It's not a lot of questions this week, is there?
No, he's not doing well today.
Not really care. How do you navigate a conversation with a long-term client?
1 second.
What? What's going on?
Just read the question.
What's going on here?
Just read the question. You're not missing anything.
I'm not interested. How do you navigate a conversation with a long-term client who subtly mentions he is gaining weight, but is waiting for someone to mention it? Before he panics, he sends me screenshots of the scale at where his metrics are in the red, but will then justify it to me himself. I think deep down he knows he has, but I don't know how to word that to him without it coming across baldly. Baldly?
It says badly.
Badly, yeah, that's it.
Wow. Can I just take a second before Sky answers this and apologise for Anthony's just poor? I think poor performance is the word and the phrase.
Jesus.
Put that C4 down.
God.
Baldly.
Such an.
I can't even mute him, Sky. I can't even mute him.
Mute him, please.
God.
Oh, God. Right.
I've done it.
Okay. He's just there laughing to himself in the corner. How do you navigate this conversation? I think this sounds like this particular client doesn't have a space to air any of this. Like, it should be clear. Is he still laughing? Because I'm not looking at him. I'll turn his camera off.
I can't turn his camera off. Can I? I don't know if I can or not. Oh,
God, he needs some time off.
fucking hell. Jesus Christ.
Right. I'm not looking at him because he's distracting. Anyway, this client, it sounds like this client doesn't have anywhere to air this sort of stuff, because you're kind of guessing there. You're like, well, they're subtly mentioning this and they're waiting for someone else to mention it. And maybe before he panics and then he's justifying it to me or himself. If you were clear on what this client's goals were and how they felt about how they were moving towards those goals, I don't think you'd have this interaction. So instead of, oh, I don't know how to word that to him, don't word anything to him. Have him word it to you. Give him an opportunity to sit down and revisit what it is that he wants to focus on for the next month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Revisit what it was that he wanted to work on you when he started with you and how he feels he's moving towards that. This, to me, I've had this situation before. This is the kind of thing that you get when you get the clients that coast, that turn up to sessions, that seem to be doing really well, don't really report anything in. But then, because you drop off on giving them lots of feedback and coaching, they then start making hints at stuff instead of being really direct. So I think it'd be worth having a session or taking some time to go back to the beginning and understand where this person's at and where they want to be, and then treating it like almost like a new client again, because no one should be really hinting at things and making things, awkward or beating around the bush. There should be avenues where which you can directly express this. This is going on at the minute. The scales are creeping up. I'm not too happy about it. I'd actually like to focus back in on some weight loss, if that's his goal, whatever that might be. So, yeah, I wouldn't try and focus on this issue itself. I would focus on getting this person themselves to be really clear about what they want to achieve, how they think they're progressing at the moment, and maybe what's holding them back. And that's the conversation that you should be having with them. That's how I would approach it. Anything to add?
No, I don't know. No, I think that's exactly the right process to take with them. It's usually really long-standing clients, not like exclusively, but it's usually those clients where you've got a really good relationship with, that is more of a friend relationship, isn't it? And you've been with them for a while. And
yeah, that's what it says here. Conversation with a long-term client. So it's probably just a bit of a breakdown in communication, or from both sides, not being as forthcoming with everything, with the coaching, with the feedback, with the check-ins, with where they're at. So yeah, I would just revisit the beginning again.
Next.
Has he calmed down yet? Is he back in the room?
Don't know, man.
Are you going to unmute him now? How can I improve my focus and remove distractions to complete tasks that need done?
Wow. The first thing is recognize what the distractions are. That's the first thing, because it's quite easy to say, "Oh, I'll just do it," or "It's my fault. It's all on me." Like, first of all, recognize distractions that are present. A lot of it comes from environment, massively. I think that's the first thing. We know that the phone is a massive distraction for everyone to different levels, so that's an obvious one. I think getting really, really clear on that hierarchy of tasks that you've got down, of what's important, what's aligned with where you want to go, or the journey that you're going on with the business. And I also think of, usually procrastination comes around with A, getting started, and B, usually around the stuff that you either don't like to do or don't feel competent in doing or getting started. So I think the first thing is break that task down to just the first step and just kickstart that a little bit, because you'll probably find that once you get going with something, that kind of helps with motivation, doesn't it? Action. So yeah, recognize what the distractions are, eliminate them, whether that's the environment, usually is maybe the time of day, potentially as well, with energy levels, different times, and breaking those things down of just one thing, then think about the next thing, and then think about the next thing. So yeah, I think you would add?
No, apart from just eat the fucking frog. Sometimes.
Frog.
Yeah. Sometimes I particularly will be I'll gravitate towards the stuff that I'm enjoying doing at that time rather than the stuff that I actually need to do. So sometimes it pays to just look at my to-do list and be like, what is the thing that I keep shuffling on and on and on? That's the first thing that I need to do today. I need to eat that big frog, and then everything else will feel better and feel easier. And I guess that's called being an adult.
What are you going to do, the clicky thing then as well?
Not my style.
I think so. Right, you're back in the room, Anthony. Can we let you in?
No, not today. Because it keeps going around. I keep just want to play kids off after again. Wow. I can't believe I said boldly instead of badly.
I can't believe that sentence made sense in your head for you to say it out loud.
What's your favourite chocolate, Anthony?
These are the only questions I'm capable of today.
I'm not actually sure you're capable of this one. Go on. Right, let's just not make a big thing of this, just,
What have a good think about it?
Come on.
Maltesers or Galaxy?
What?
Yeah, I think
Maltese
or Galaxy.
Mine is, I don't know. I like hazelnutty stuff, so like Buenos and shit like that. Biscoff.
Is that chocolate?
I guess you can count.
Biscoff,
Have that?
The dream. The dream.
You judge my chocolate choices. What yours? Go on. If you say bounty, cancel your thing. No, you're not. You can't.
It's not bounty, is it?
It's fucking bounty.
That's just
no,
confirmed.
It's not. What coconut?
Honestly,
what's wrong
that's
with you?
confirmed. That has confirmed everything about it. That's it. I know the type of guy he is now.
What?
Like you're in the 3 or 4% that eats the bounties in the celebrations. It's 3 or 4% of weirdos, mate. Weirdos.
Galaxy, the most, and Maltese is the most boring, basic chocolate ever.
You're just a basic bitch.
Bueno was for fucking 5-year-olds, more or less. Like they eat them, so you can't start.
That fits.
Fucking bounties are for 76-year-olds.
Anyway,
like he is.
Let's go. Let's get off this one.
I've got one for both of you.
Go on.
What gave you guys the confidence that you were in a position to start mentoring? And were there any specific things that happened that gave you the urge to start PTMA?
Was there specific? No.
Or what gave you the confidence to start mentoring?
Doing it. It wasn't a thing. Like, I think, like, when did we start? Like 20, it's probably nearly 10 years ago now. It is.
It is, because I came into Pure Gym at like 2015. You were just starting then.
It was, mate.
I suppose you could say that was mentoring? We were writing courses and delivering them around the UK. Mentoring, is it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, my exact. It wasn't like as it is perceived to be now. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the big
business
thing.
Support.
Yeah. So we were like coaching and delivering, and I think it wasn't out of like, oh, we've done this, or we've done that, or we've done this, or we've done that, or I feel this certain way. It was like there was a problem, and we had the skills and the experience and knowledge to fix the problem, and that just went from there, really, didn't it?
It's like anything. Like, I think the biggest part was knowing that I had in various different venues, whether it was my own gym or in a commercial gym, had groups of PTs, anything from 2 to 15 of them all at one point, all moving in the right direction from a business or coaching perspective, and you coached and mentored them to build the business that they wanted. So that gave you the confidence that you could do that on a larger scale. And then we went and did that on a larger scale. And then as a byproduct of that, more people started coming. It's like anything, like you as a coach, right? I've gained experience. I've got people results consistently, right? I'm going to go and broaden this and try and attack and bring in more people. So it was more so that. There wasn't really one moment of it, was it? It was just kind of, people just kept coming to us off the back of them courses and was like, can you help us with this? And it was kind of just like the best way I could describe it is that we were still running a gym, but we had these virtual PTs that we just kept a call with every single week, and we just kept coaching and mentoring. And that's how it was literally born, wasn't it? There was no epiphany of going, right, we're going to mentor, was there? Because at that point, when we started doing it, who was doing it?
No one.
Who was doing it at that point?
The only close...
I can't remember.
Phil started like ACA, didn't he, in like, 2016, 2017, and that was like similar, like just it was pre-recorded stuff, wasn't it? So that was similar to what we were doing.
Luke had SBS, didn't he, at that point?
SBS, but again, that was more educational, not really coaching and mentoring. And then you had Lift the Bar.
Yeah, I remember Lift the Bar.
But there was no, like, we only recognised, and again, it wasn't one of those things where, oh, we should turn this into a mentor thing or whatever. It was the fact that information in the courses weren't the thing, wasn't the only thing that people needed, basically. And that's where the coaching and mentoring side started to come in. Next, what's the ideal amount of times per week to post? Does it differ from person to person? And is there a specific time in the day to do it?
Well, we've had this conversation loads, haven't we? I'll go first.
When you go.
The ideal amount of times per week, I think minimum, it's got to be like 3 to 4. It's got to be. That's the minimum. I don't think you can just show up once a week with a banging post and then fuck off again. I mean, some people can, but I think 3 to 4, but yeah, it's going to differ person to person. What can you post each week that is quality? I think people fall into the trap of putting more out, but it's wishy-washy. It's not very direct. It doesn't talk to their market. I think people post for the wrong reasons. The panic post and all the problems that come up for social media is just because people are either not prepared, so then when they show up, it's half-assed, or they hate it, they resent doing it, or they are too bothered about what other people are posting and other coaches think of their content, so then again, what they're posting doesn't really call to people, so then they don't get the return on it, or they're trying to be unrealistic with the time. So I think what is a realistic amount of time that you can post quality content. You can sit, write down ideas. Then another day you can sit and create videos, B-roll, carousels, whatever, and then schedule it all so that it's ahead. That is going to be different person to person. Specific time in the day, like use your insights, go on your profile on Facebook or Instagram, whatever platform you're using, and see when the people that are following you are most active online. I sat with one of the coaches the other day and did this, and some of the days were pretty similar, but for instance, on hers, Friday 6 p.m. was really busy. On mine, Friday 3 p.m. was really busy. So if you want the time to do it when people are most active. But yeah, I think when it comes to the ideal amount of times, you need to put your head on of like, what is the ideal amount that feels good to me, that I won't resent, that I can plan for, I can be organised with, and keep consistent with that. Anything else to add?
No.
I think stories is different. I think you should be on your stories every day. And I don't think that's a big ask if you want to market.
What's the single most important piece of advice you'd give to someone trying to get more online clients, Nick?
Experiment and look at the whole process as an experiment. Reason is because online coaches or people who want to work with people online generally don't like being online. So that then kind of affects the way that they market, and they look at marketing as an absolute, i.e., if I do this, I expect to get that. If I don't get that, then I've failed and it doesn't work. So you've got to look at everything as an experiment, and you've got to, by doing that, you've got to track stuff and you've got to spend time researching and looking into things like what's happening now. You've got to invest in it. And that's the single biggest piece of advice I can give you, because there is no one trick to this. There's no one hack that is going to do it for you. And that's something people need to get in their head, because it's just not the case. No matter how much fucking shite you see online, it's just not the case. Like, you've got to experiment, and you've got to keep on experimenting, like, as well, because things change, trends change, algorithms change, customers and consumers change, the platform changes. So you've got to come at it with that mindset and viewpoint. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed massively, and that will probably end up with you not doing the things that you should be doing, and be overall really fucking frustrated with it. So yeah, that's the one piece of advice I would give you. Anyone for any more?
Next.
Sorry.
Should we be repackaging coaching as a new program for Q?
No, not necessarily. It depends on how you're positioning your coaching now. So if it's not something that is different in comparison to the other PTs that are in the gym, i.e. it's coaching and these features, you have separated it and positioned it in a way for people to understand it, know that it's for them, how it works and all of that, then no. But it's something that you need to work on in regards to the positioning of what it is that you do, so it does stand out and make it slightly different to others. Then yes, you should work on that. Next question. I've always had a bit of imposter syndrome in terms of value for online clients. Got a couple who tick all the boxes and are making progress, meaning I don't really have to change anything, which is good. But I still never feel like I'm providing enough value because I'm not having to do too much coaching each week. How do we get over this feeling, Sky?
Get feedback from your clients.
Critical feedback.
Number one, like, if you're ever doubting what you're doing, whether you're providing enough for your clients, I think because we see what other coaches are doing, we can sometimes assume that we're not doing enough. But it's not about what the coaches are doing, it's about what you're doing for your clients. So go and get critical feedback. And if then they tell you that they don't feel like they're getting much coaching or there's not enough value, then fucking do something about it. Like, one of my questions in my critical feedback form is about value. Value for money, yes or no? Do you feel like you're getting enough value out for the price that you're paying? So that's a really clear way to get over it. If that still doesn't make you feel like you're doing enough, then ask yourself, what does more value look like to you? Like, what would you want out of an online coaching service? Is it something that realistically you can put in? Do you have the time to put in? Do you have the resources available to put in? If it's niggling at you that you don't feel like you're doing enough, then do more. That is also a valid option. Ask yourself, what does that look like? But that would be my 2 pieces of advice. Bosh.
I actually met him, and they're all that Johnny Fisher's dad, who says Bosh. You know that guy?
I was like, who the hell are you on about?
So
No, I know you mean
that terminology comes from Johnny Fisher and his dad, doesn't it? Where they go Bosh, like that. And I met him when I went to Dublin for the day in McGregor's pub. There's a little fact for you. Good day out, that. Highly recommend.
McGregor's pub.
Highly recommend. Next question, please.
What are your top tips for gaining confidence whilst talking to the camera?
I think do it more, which is clearly obvious statement that you probably already would have knew anyway. So do it as frequent as possible. And provide yourself with tools to make it a little bit easier. So like if you're doing a video for a reel or whatever, give yourself like captions to read through. So like the captions app where you can do like a transcript, or any other app where you can do a transcript and start to read off it, because the more natural you get off of that and feeling comfortable that you're not going to mess up and all of that type of stuff, the easier it starts to become. Yeah, I would try and get on the camera as much as possible, which is, to Sky's point before, this is where stories can come in quite handy, where you can just constantly talk crap on stories and good things on stories about anything and everything, and it just gradually over time makes you feel a little bit more comfortable and confident. But little tools like a transcript helps.
Yeah, I think just trying to talk in your voice. I think sometimes I see people's videos and it's very stiff and rehearsed, and I get that that's like a nerves and a practice thing, but if there's a way that you can pretend that you're talking to a client or a friend in front of you, it will just get your point across more because it will sound like you. There's nothing worse than seeing someone talk to camera. Like that's almost just as like disengaging as seeing a post that's really boring. If you've seen someone talk to camera and it doesn't sound like them, or it doesn't sound very natural. So I think, yeah, trying if you can to imagine that you are not talking to a camera, you're actually talking to a person that you know. That can help.
Great response.
Thanks.
Last question, please.
That's it, isn't it? No? Who would survive the longest if 3 of you were stranded on a desert island?
I will put my hands up and say that I think about this a lot. And I think about the fact that there's a lot of skills I don't have. Like, I don't think I'd be able to start a fire. I don't think I'm very good in the cold. I don't think I'd be able to catch things to eat and kill them. So I'd probably be fucking gone first.
I'd agree. No, actually, I wouldn't agree. I think Ant would go first.
I think he'd just want to end it. He wouldn't be able to cope.
I think you'd choke him out and kill him. And then you'd just I'd just leave you over there and starving and thirsty. Leave you over there.
Yeah. I actually think you'd be really resourceful. I think Nick would survive. I think me and Ant would be having a shocker.
I think I'd go out of my way to kill Nick first, knowing that he'd probably last the longest. Do you know what I mean? He'd try to last the longest. So what I'd do is just target him from day one and be like, I'm just going to fucking kill you.
I'd cause between you two. So there'd be 2 against 1.
I'd already, in my head, be like, there's no team in this. I'm killing you. And that's it. Yeah, you're finished. Because, and then I'd have to strategically think about the way around Sky with the fact that she's a purple belt.
It'd have to be like the surprise element. Because you can't come at me head first.
Big head, though.
No, I haven't got a big head. I've got a pea head.
I've got a massive head. So take your chances.
So we've got to a conclusion. I think we're all just going to Sky.
Yeah, I think you would just.
I think you'd try and fucking walk home or something.
Yeah, I think you'd end up.
Yeah, I think you'd be like, fuck you somewhere.
I've done that.
I think you'd put yourself in a situation where you'd gone.
I've done that. I remember.
So yeah, I think you'd try and walk.
Listen, when I went to where the baby's head when Lexi was born, I'd gone out, day sesh, and I was like, fucking enough of this. And I walked from Manchester to where we lived at the time, which is about 2 hours. Got to the door. Stacey was really surprised to see me. Got to the door and I was like, fuck, I want to go back out. So I went back out. I knocked on the door. She was like, what are you doing home so early? And I was like, you're right. I'm going back out. But at that point, I'd walked a hole in my pumps. That's how far I'd walked. And on that note, folks,
you're a mess.
We'll see you soon. Bye.